Hello! In today's video, we are going to talk about the reading module of the IELTS. I'm going to share some of my top IELTS reading tips, so let's get started. During the reading module of the IELTS, there will be 3 passages to read, and for each passage, there are several questions you need to answer. The first tip I have for you is, don't spend too much time reading the passages. What happens to a lot of students is they read word for word, trying to understand everything. They come across a word they don't know and keep trying to figure out its meaning. But you don't have to understand every single word to comprehend the passage. If you don't know a word, that's okay. A better approach is to use skills like skimming, where you quickly read for the main idea, or scanning, which involves looking for keywords or specific details. Many students read the questions first and then go back to the passage. This way, they know exactly what they're looking for. You don't have to do it this way, though. It's just one technique. Some students find it easier, while others prefer reading the passage first and then answering the questions. I recommend trying both methods. First, read the passage and then answer the questions. Then, try reading the questions first and see which method works better for you and makes you feel more comfortable. The key takeaway here is, don't read too slowly. Remember, this is a time test. You have 3 parts to complete, with 40 questions in total, so it's crucial to read quickly. You can start practicing your speed reading skills now. There are many resources available that can help you practice. And when you do, make sure to time yourself to ensure you stay on track and don't go over the time limit. Number 2. Similar to number 1, my tip is, don't spend too long on each question. Some of the questions are difficult, they are doable, and you can do well on them. But there will be times when you are reading a question and you might think, oh, I don't know what the answer is. You might look at it, think about it, and keep trying to figure it out. Well, here's the problem. If you spend too much time on one question, remember, there are 40 questions and only 1 hour to complete the test. That time goes by very quickly. So if you spend too much time on a single question, you risk running out of time for the others. What I recommend is this. Read the question. Try to figure out the answer. If you are not sure, you can put a star next to it and come back to it later. Don't spend too long on any single question. You can also take an educated guess, move on, and revisit it at the end if you have time. This strategy will help you manage your time effectively and give you the best chance of answering as many questions as possible. My third tip, spend less time on the earlier questions. For the reading module, there are 3 passages. The first passage is the easiest, followed by the second, and then the third, which is the most difficult. If you spend all your time on the first passage, you will not have enough time to complete the second and third passages. Since the first one is easier, a good strategy is to allocate your time wisely. Spend about 17 minutes on the first passage, around 20 minutes on the second, and approximately 23 minutes on the third. You don't have to follow this timing exactly, but the key takeaway is to spend less time on part 1 and more time on part 3, as it is more challenging. My fourth point is, make sure you have enough time to transfer your answers. You will be given an answer sheet and you are required to write your answers on it. It's crucial to leave yourself enough time to transfer your answers from the test paper to the answer sheet. Many students focus on completing the booklet and then realize there's no time left for transferring their answers. So, make sure you plan ahead and leave enough time for this important step. My fifth tip is about a very common error students make: 3 words or less. In the reading section, and also in the listening section, you will often see instructions that say, write 3 words or less. They mean exactly that. Write 3 words or less. A lot of students end up writing too many words. For example, if I'm doing a reading on archaeology and I have to write an answer, let's say my answer is, the tomb of the pharaoh. Now, if the instructions clearly say, write 3 words or less, and my answer is the tomb of the pharaoh, I have written way too many words. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 words, and that's too many. So even though my answer is technically correct, I would get it wrong on the IELTS. Why? Because I didn't follow the instructions. Instead, a correct answer in this case might be the pharaoh's tomb. This is 3 words, perfectly within the limit. For these types of questions, you can write 1 word, 2 words, or 3 words, but no more than that. Remember, this is a very common mistake, so pay close attention to the instructions. Number 6 is another common mistake students make: their spelling. A lot of students forget that the reading section also has a writing component, and that means you have to write your answers. You also have to spell your answers correctly, and many students, unfortunately, make spelling mistakes. So it's very important to practice spelling before you do the IELTS. Spelling will help you in the listening section, the writing section, and the reading section. I can't emphasize this enough. Spelling matters. One idea is to get a notebook, and anytime you spell a word wrong, write it in your book and practice those words. Create a spelling book for yourself so you can track which words you often make mistakes with. Number 7. A lot of students also make this mistake with grammar. You have to use the correct grammar when you are answering a question. For example, sometimes the correct answer might be castles with an "s", but a student might write the singular version castle. In this case, the correct form would be the plural castles. So you always need to be aware of grammar. The best thing to do is, after you write your answer, check it to see if the grammar makes sense. Were they looking for a singular answer? Were they looking for a plural answer? This is very important, so make sure to keep an eye out for it. Finally, my last tip for today is this. A lot of students don't read the instructions properly. This is a very, very big mistake to make. Many students have done lots and lots of IELTS tests, and they think they know it, so they don't bother reading the instructions. Always read the instructions. Even if you have done 100 IELTS tests, take the time to read the instructions just to make sure. For example, a common mistake happens in the multiple choice questions in the reading section. Maybe the question asks you to choose 2 answers, but if you don't read the instructions carefully, you might just pick 1. Or perhaps it asks you to pick 3 answers, and you miss that detail. Another common issue with instructions is confusing not given, yes and no questions with not given, true and false questions. These are different. By carefully reading the instructions, you can understand the differences. This ensures that when you are supposed to write yes, you don't write true, and when you're supposed to write no, you don't write false. So, to avoid mixing up these questions and making unnecessary mistakes, always read the instructions carefully. I know you are going to do well on test day. So, good luck. I'm rooting for you. I know you are going to do a good job. Until next time.